welcome back. This is the question and answer time at the ACA Executive Summit here with Jodi Fincher. This is always an exciting part to see what questions come up. I have no doubt that Jodi can handle those. But our first one, Carl, come on up here. We'll get this started. And introduce yourself, if you would, please. And then ask that question.
My name is Carl Little. I'm with a company called Sumner One, and we installed 600 copiers at your hospital. And I had 3 surgeries at your hospital. 2 of them were to replace my hips, and 1 for my rotator cuff, and they did a great job, and I was healthy and back at it right away, so thank you for that. And I'm a former women's college basketball coach.
You are?
At Washburn University. I was head coach for 3 years. And my question to you is, I'm still struggling with these young people. I think they call them millennials. So I can't get them to understand that they got to work harder and smarter every day. Can you help me with that?
Oh, I wish I could. It's really interesting. You know, the millennials are, gosh, I love my job. I love working at St. Joe, yet they're on the computer looking for another job, right? It's just, and so learning how to engage them to keep them in your organization is a challenge for all of us. And what I have found is they like to be a part of the solution. They like, believe it or not, to be on committees that are really not just dealing with problems, but coming up with solutions. They want to feel valued, I think, more than any generation. I mean, you take, as you look at generations, we have 5 generations in the workplace right now. It's the first time that's ever happened because we're all living so damn long. And so what we've learned is they want a pat on the back and they want to be recognized for that great work that they do. And I believe that they do work smarter, which gives the appearance that they're not working harder because they can multitask. But when they get done doing their work, they're not out looking for what can I do to help you. I got my work done, I'm done for the day, and it's just not natural for them then to go figure out how to help others. So in coaching them has been fairly successful, but I don't have the golden answer for that. But I feel your pain, Carl, but...
Well, that's helpful.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Wanda. Hello, my name is Wanda Booth. I'm with Edward Jones. I help people with their financial planning and also living a legacy for their children.
Oh, nice.
Good. So I have 2 questions.
Talk to my parents.
I'm good.
So there's a legacy.
Legacy.
Yeah.
Yes. I can help you with that. So I'd like to ask you a question. Is one, a real quick one. When you keep saying lean in, are you referring to Sheryl Sandberg's book or the Lean In for Women?
I have heard of that book, but I have not read that. But no, for me, lean in just means, for instance, nursing students, for whatever reason, hate to do drug calculations. So, you know, but they have to learn how to do drug calculations to make sure that we give the right dose every time. And they hate to do drug calculations, and they say, I'm a nurse, I'm not good at math. So I say then every single day do 20 drug calculations for these nursing students. If that's what's uncomfortable for you, lean into it and learn it. As an ICU nurse, pacemakers are a very complicated thing that we do because in the intensive care unit, we have wires that go in through a vein and come out externally, and their pacemaker is out here, and we control their heart externally. And that was the very intimidating thing for ICU nurses to do. And I was tired of being afraid of that, so I just studied and studied. And then what I did was I taught pacemaker classes because there's no better way to learn something than to teach it. So that's kind of what I mean by lean in. Okay. Yeah.
And then second, ma'am, for women and mothers especially, and you have done so many things. I'm a mother myself with 3 kids, and I did 25 years in the Army, and I just came into this job. So I just continue to work. So what I'd like to have your insight on this. What I've noticed lately, when my home life is good, my business kind of go down, but then when my business is high, then my home life seems to go down. The kids complain more.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so balance is always a struggle. And with our 5 children who were very, very active, almost all of them played sports. And every weekend, my husband always called baseball the enemy of summer because, you know, you could never go anywhere or do anything because you're always at the baseball field. And so it's just really prioritizing. It's just like your marriage. Sometimes I give 70, he gives 30, vice versa. And when work demands a little more, you have to prioritize that. When family demands a little more, you have to prioritize that. So that you sort of keep it at a 50-50, but at no point in time is it ever really 50-50. And that's how we have balanced it. But I also have a great husband who has supported my career and has recognized when I need a little help at home because work is sucking the life out of me. And so without having to ask, he's always been really helpful with that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for your service. That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thanks, wonderful. Brian.
Hey.
Oh, this
Thank
is
you.
scary.
Well, it should be.
Yes.
I'm going to go a total different direction.
Okay.
My father was in ICU for 8 weeks. They can't fix people in ICU.
That's
The
right.
doctor said, you know, we can keep them alive, we can't fix them. Okay. Talking with a nurse that was there every day, she would actually come in on her day off to help my brother and I deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, what is the most amazing thing you've seen in ICU that you can just put your finger on and say, that was extraordinary?
Okay, so get ready for your goosebumps to come up. So I was a fairly young ICU nurse, and I worked at night, so I worked 12-hour night shifts. And this was in the early 90s, and we were seeing a lot of patients with, it's called pneumocystic pneumonia, and it was the pneumonia that HIV patients got. And so I took care of, for many, many nights, a young priest who was had AIDS and had pneumocystis pneumonia. He was on the breathing machine. He had multiple chest tubes in. He had wires everywhere. We had tube in his stomach to feed him, liquid feeding. He was gravely, terminally ill, and his partner would come in and see him very, very late at night, like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, because his partner did not want anyone to know that he was gay. And so, and I think the family knew it, but he just didn't want to be a disruption. So I spent many nights, because I never got to know the patient because he was on the ventilator and sedated, but I got to know him through his partner. And the family would not come to see him. The partner was afraid that he would come sometime when the family was there, but the family knew what he had and they knew why he had it, and the family just would not come to see him. So night after night after night, I would take care of this guy and love him as much as I could, even though I didn't know him, and then cry with his partner, and it was really a difficult case. So one night, and he just wouldn't die. He needed to die. He should have died, but he just would not die. So one night I'm sitting there and, we're just doing our thing, and it's about midnight, and someone comes into the ICU and says, well, I'm the brother of this patient, and it was the first family I'd ever met, and he said, actually, our entire family is here and we'd like to see him. And he had 10 brothers and sisters and quite elderly parents, and all 10 of them came into the room to see him. And they sang to him, and they sang Amazing Grace. And of course, in ICU, all the vital signs are up and going. And so they sang Amazing Grace to him. And I cannot make this up. As the song ended, his heart rate went from 80 to 60 to 40, and he passed with his family at his side. Profound for me. That the human spirit, even in that situation and the love of family, he was just waiting for acknowledgement from his family. Even though it's amazing to me that he knew that, I know in my heart that he did.
Thank you.
I
You
will
guys do
never
great.
forget him.
I figured you had a story.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks, Brian. Any other questions of you?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
good.
Oh, Denise.
Hi, Denise.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Quick question for you. So my daughter is in her last year of nursing school. What advice would you give to anybody that's going through that with all those experiences? Because when you're doing your clinicals, you get to visit each stage,
Yeah.
and it's extremely overwhelming. And some of the questions they've asked her and how, she feels about death and those different type of things, because you have to make sure there's an emotional, healthy balance. What advice would you give?
Well, first of all, she's already made one of the best choices I think she'll ever make. I've made some horrible choices in my life. We won't go into those, but I've made a couple of really good choices. So I'm married to the love of my life, and I chose a profession that not once in my entire over 30 years have I not wanted to go to work or thought I hate this job, and not very many people can say that. So, and the reason is that nursing is one of the most diverse professions that there are. I mean, even just in the hospital, there are so many different kinds of nurses. And then there are all kinds of opportunities not in the hospital that you can do. So when nurses get burned out, it really frustrates me, because go do something else in nursing. There are so many opportunities, but I would strongly encourage her to start in the hospital on a basic medical surgical unit, or even in the ICU. Most hospitals will hire brand new nurses. They have great orientation programs to teach them how to be a great ICU nurse, and really get that foundation of nursing, and then that really opens up a lot of opportunities. My husband is a nurse as well. He's a CRNA, so he gives anesthetics in the OR. We are highly reliant in primary care, as you all probably feel. We are very under primary care doctored at this point, and it's just getting worse. So the opportunities for nurse practitioners is amazing. It's a good time to be a nurse practitioner right now. So I would tell her again, don't be afraid to lean in. A lot of brand new nurses, they all want to work in OB, right? And I was like, oh, I just would never want to work in OB. It's just
She doesn't want to work in OB.
So sickening to me.
Good.
Oh, but if that's what she wants to do, great. And it's just good we all don't like to do the same thing, right? Because if we all did, then, who would take care of the babies? Because it would not be me.
No, you're right.
No. Yes.
She took care of her brothers, so that's all good.
Okay,
Thank you very
good.
much.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Good luck to her. Have her
Thanks,
call
Denise.
me. I'm happy to talk to her.
Good question? Yes, more questions. Nice job, Jodi. They're
Okay.
just ready to roll
All
now.
right.
Introduce
Hi.
yourself, please.
Okay.
Come on up right here. There you go.
Brad Allen,
Hi, Brad.
and I was going to ask you, with the remarkable turnaround that you did in a 2 or 3 year period, can you expand upon that a little bit more on how you were able to turn things around so quickly? Because my wife's a nurse, and we were talking, and I mean, she's like, Saint, we were just talking about that. She was just really amazed at the turnaround. So
Yeah, that's a really long answer, because it's, but it's okay. I can go through, first of all, we had to right size our workforce, and that's never a fun thing to do. But St. Joe had, as it was failing over the years, really threw a lot of unnecessary human resources at problems rather than fixing the problems. So we had to do a reduction in force and right size. And of course, that's in a hospital, and most of probably your businesses is your human resources, your most expensive resource. We looked at every supply that we used. We changed contracts with vendors to get better deals. We leveraged our big footprint because we're owned by Prime Healthcare. Right. So utilizing that to get better contracts. We went to our payers, all of our insurance companies, and said, our contracts are outdated and antiquated, and we want to take great care of your patients, but you need to compensate us. So, spend less, make more. Our revenue cycle was not healthy at all, and so we have spent a lot of time on our revenue cycle. Our days in AR were embarrassingly high, and we have reduced our days. We've cut it more than in half. because as you know, every second that a dollar is in AR, it loses its value. So, and we really had to prioritize, where we needed to focus our efforts to start with, and then again, getting the right leadership team in place was really key for me, that people who supported the decisions that we were making and the model that we were putting into place. And, managing our patients better is really a great thing. We would love, the way that hospitals get paid is, we don't have you for 10 days and charge for all 10 days and for every supply that we use and every drug that we give you. The insurance company says, oh, you have pneumonia, so we're going to pay you this much money for your diagnosis of pneumonia. And that'll essentially pay for 2 or 3 days of care. So if I keep a patient for 5 or 6 days, I give 3 days of free care. And that's just how it works. And that's a great model for patients, because it incentivizes and really motivates hospitals to give better, more efficient care, so we get you out of the hospital quicker, because remember, there's risk in the hospital and you want to get in and out as quickly as you can. So managing that length of stay so we weren't giving free care was another really key component. Yeah. So we had to pick, get the low-hanging fruit and then really start. Now I'm into the weeds to the point where we have been renting Christmas decorations at a very high cost, and they're ugly. And I'm like, no, this year I'm going to buy my own Christmas decorations. We're going to invest, a couple years worth of what we would rent, buy our own. They're going to be really beautiful, and then we can use those for several years. So that's the weeds that I'm into now. Yeah, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. We have still another question.
Okay.
So look at this one.
Yeah,
You're
no.
just breaking them up here.
Is it a record?
It is.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, by sure.
Oh, thanks. Hi.
Jodi. I'm Kevin Durbin. I'm part of the ACA Business Club staff, and I'm running and building a fundraising business. So,
Okay.
Thanks for sharing some great insights and some. I'm sure we could probably be here for days or hours with some of the stories. But I have a question. I also have a daughter that's planning to go into nursing. She's much earlier in the process.
Okay.
So, but a question I have for you is, what's something that you say, I wish I would have sooner? I'm always trying to encourage my kids, no matter what role, no matter what capacity you're in a job or whatever, to try to be leaders. And so I'm curious, you had mentioned needing to understand the revenue cycle. So you leaned in, went back and got an MBA so you can understand business. So what's something that you would say or give some advice, I wish I would have sooner? Yeah,
so great question. And despite the fact that I had just a draw to be a leader, I think I'm just a natural leader, I wish I would have recognized my leadership potential a lot earlier. I really just didn't think that, I would see the chief nursing officer at the hospital and think, man, I could never,
That's not me.
I just really, it wasn't that I didn't want to do it. I just really didn't think that was something I could ever get to. So I wished I would have recognized the potential. I think a lot of other people saw it in me, but I wished I would have recognized that a little bit earlier.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, thank you. But good luck to your daughter, and tell her to call me too.
I will.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kevin. Everyone, thank you so much. And especially Jodi, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
For
It's
a
been a
wonderful
pleasure.
interview.
Thank you
Yes.
all. All right, thanks.
Nicely done.
Okay.